Hey everybody, welcome to the Ballet Rising videocast. I wanted to put out a quick word about the Ballet Rising videocast and about Ballet Rising in general, just very quickly. Obviously, a lot of people have probably noticed that we haven't put much of this content out recently. We're definitely going to continue with it. I personally enjoy doing it, and I think it's just a tremendous amount of fun, and it's fascinating to talk to all of these wonderful individuals who have such incredible insight and understanding and passion for the art form of ballet. So, definitely going to continue with it, going to improve upon it, and we'll have a lot more coming in the future. As for right now, Ballet Rising we're doing a tremendous number of things behind the scenes. We're working on a whole bunch of stuff that I think people are going to be really excited about. So we'll make some announcements here coming in the future. But yeah, just stick with us, stay tuned, and we've got a lot more stuff coming at you. So see you soon. So today I'm going to be speaking to a wonderful person who is the founder and director of an incredible project called the Global Ballet Teachers. This is a community-based project that is all about helping people develop curriculums and skills for teaching classical ballet. It's a community-based project where people with knowledge and skills and a passion and all everything that involves teaching ballet and learning about the subject can come together and work with people who have a desire to learn and to grow and to develop uh, ballet communities and institutions within their country. I think it's a wonderful project. I think it's great that this has been started. It's a great way to just collaborate and communicate and just help ballet in all parts of the planet. I wanted to speak with her specifically today about a trip she did recently to Nigeria. I wanted to talk to her about why she went and what she experienced while she was there. It sounded like an incredible experience, and I think it would just be a lot of fun for everyone to know about what she was doing and what were the results of what she accomplished there. So, without further ado, here is Cecilia Iliesiu. And here we are with Cecilia Iliesiu. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. This has been a long time in the works.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be part of your community, and everything that you do at Ballet Rising is awesome. So I'm just so happy to be part of the family and community here.
Yeah, great. No, I'm really happy that you can be a part of this. And, I'm just really looking forward to, our projects and us personally collaborating a lot in the future. But we'll definitely get down into that. Let's just start off and do like a quick introduction. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about where you're from and sort of how you got into ballet and where you are with your dance career right now?
Yeah, well, I am currently located in Seattle, Washington, but my life started in New York City. We'll dig into that in a little bit. But yeah, I was born and raised in Manhattan, and I went to the School of American Ballet for a decade, from 8 until 18. Really intense training at Lincoln Center with incredible teachers. I got to watch New York City Ballet almost every single night I could get a free ticket. I went to summer programs around the country, just had a wonderful experience. And then I got my first job at Carolina Ballet when I was 18 in Raleigh, North Carolina. So just a little bit down the coast.
Really good.
And the director at the time was Robert Weiss, and he gave me my first kind of light into company life. And I was at first disappointed because when you're at SAB, you just have this vision of being at New York City Ballet, and that's the only thing that exists. But after a few years at Carolina Ballet, I felt so grateful that my path had taken me to a slightly smaller company. I felt safer. I felt like I could explore more without having the pressures of like being on the big Lincoln Center stage as an 18-year-old, just having no idea what's going on. Anyway, so I danced there for 6 seasons, became a soloist there. but I felt like I needed a new life journey. I had come from New York City and I was in a big city. Raleigh was starting to feel a little bit small and maybe not my forever place. So I was auditioning, wasn't sure whether I was going to get a job. So I was deciding between going to college full time or hopefully getting a job. And I auditioned domestically and internationally and got a job at Pacific Northwest Ballet in Seattle, Washington, where I currently am. And this is my 7th season with the company. And I got promoted to soloist during the pandemic. And it's been exactly what I need in my career, just to step up in company. Our rep is so much more diverse. And I'm just able to explore so many other elements of my personality here. I've grown to love the outdoors. And then as the pandemic came, a lot of different projects kind of came into my thoughts and now have come into fruition, which we'll talk about later. But just Seattle has been an incredible journey. And then I love that that's where you had your career as well. So it's just such a fun coincidence. And we have mutual company.
It was a fun moment. I got a little bit of a chuckle about, when we first met, you had sent me a message. I think somebody had pointed Ballet Rising out to you and about your project, the Global Ballet Teachers. And you had said, "Oh, I'm Cecilia. I'm a dancer with a company in Seattle called Pacific Northwest Ballet." And I just sat there and I was like, "Oh,
I'm familiar."
Yeah, I think I've been there. I mean, just for anybody who doesn't know me that well, who's watching right now, I spent 9 years of my career with Pacific Northwest Ballet, going from corps de ballet up to principal dancer, and then later moved on to Dutch National Ballet. But yeah, it was exciting that not only did somebody reach out to me who has a project that I think really meshes perfectly well with Ballet Rising, but also just that
that connection.
To me, Seattle is home. Pacific Northwest Ballet is my family. I always remember everybody there as being just their family to me. So it's just great that you're dancing there. And it was great when I went back there last summer to, see some of my friends and everything, that you and I got to meet up and chat. It's just a great city and a great company and just great people all around. So yeah, added a little bit more fun to it.
Well, it definitely just goes to show that the dance world is so small, even though we both have like these global projects that we're working within the dance world. Like it's still such a small and intertwined world. So just happy that our paths crossed.
But yeah, during the pandemic, you were saying that projects came about. You had some ideas floating around. I mean, like a lot of people. So you started a new project, the Global Ballet Teachers. Tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind it and sort of just go through to where you are right now.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So pandemic hit March of 2020 and Pacific Northwest Ballet, the company and the school had shut down pretty much completely for at least a month or two, where there was just like nothing to do. I think everyone was just in like complete panic mode. And so I don't tend to relax well, and not that that time at all was relaxing. We were quarantined and there was a lot of stress going on, but I needed a project. Yeah, no.
Wasn't very relaxing.
Not at all. But I just don't do free time very well. I like to have a lot of things going on and structures and projects. So just sitting at home stressing about COVID just wasn't for me. So I started teaching a lot online. So I'd been teaching during my time at Carolina Ballet. I taught at a competition studio and some private lessons. So, and I also taught at School of American Ballet my last year. So I was an assistant teacher. So I've been teaching for a long time.
A little side note. I think, teaching is for all you dancers out there that are watching, that's something I wish I had done more of when I was a dancer. Teaching ballet just really changes your perspective as a dancer, and you 100%. Can learn so much from it. So if you get the chance to teach while you're still dancing, do it. It really adds a lot to your career. Just a little side note.
Yeah, no, I mean, I started assistant teaching when I was like 16 or 17. Great. And just that experience of like being the person on the other side of the room and having that perspective change was, as you said, like really educational as a dancer. You just have so much more respect for the person in the room because you're always like, oh, they don't know what I'm going, but like,
Yeah.
they do. Anyway, so my journey teaching has been a while, like throughout my professional career for sure. But when I joined Pacific Northwest Ballet, I wanted to pause a little bit from teaching because I felt that Carolina Ballet teaching had taken up a lot of my time, more time than my dancing. And so I wanted to focus on my career while I was young and my body was able. So I paused for a little bit, but anyway, COVID hit and teaching was the only way that I really felt like I could give back to the dance community, support the young students and dancers and older. So started teaching a lot. And then I was teaching through this organization called Ballet Together that had come together during COVID. And through that, had gotten a message from someone in Nigeria wanting resources to help teachers in Nigeria teach ballet more effectively. And so this individual would passed the message on to me and said, like, I don't know what to do with this, go for it. And I was like, I don't either, but I'm going to try. And so kind of got into conversations, and May 2020, so 2 months after the pandemic started, we offered our first online class to teachers in Nigeria. Online on Zoom, like everyone else in the little bubbles. And so we started teaching classes to that community once a week. And then that kind of grew. We started having conversations at the end of classes because it was a different type of class. It was geared towards teachers and dancers in an educational way of like, how do you teach this, rather than like, let me just give you a class, thank you so much, goodbye. It was more like, do you have any questions about the steps? Does this make sense? And then we'd have these like really in-depth conversations at the end of classes because I'd just open up the floor. And then it just kept kind of growing and growing. And I realized there was a need for curriculum and syllabus building.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, okay, well, I could like build a curriculum for them for beginner level. And I was like, I don't want to be that white lady who's just like creating something, giving it to them and be like, do it. Like, I want us to learn and grow together. So we built a syllabus course, and then we've run that twice. That was January of 2021. And then we started all going back to work, and schedules weren't really working for these live classes. So then we've kind of transitioned more into online courses and a couple live events a month. So we're currently running music for ballet class course that's been created by a pianist in London who actually created the music for the syllabus for RAD. I'm working with a teacher in Mexico for pre-ballet course. We're going to revamp our ballet, our beginner and intermediate ballet courses. And I mean, it's incredible. Like, we've just opened up this platform. So essentially we transitioned from like just teaching ballet classes to dance teachers in Nigeria to now offering online courses, conversations on WhatsApp, resources, downloadable music to teachers in 40 countries. We have 300 teachers in 40 countries now, thanks to Facebook and Instagram.
And that's really important that you're doing what you're doing, because there are a lot of, especially during the pandemic, a lot of, organizations, came out of nowhere and offering classes online. And on one hand, it's amazing, but there's so many different levels of understanding and abilities and experience around the world, especially when you're talking about places like Nigeria and it's so important that they sort of, it's great that they have those classes to attend, but if you're just going into a class, it's like going right into an advanced class when you're sort of a beginner. It's better that you go back and be able to start with the basics and learn, and also give the teachers there a lot more background in not just, okay, this is how you do the step, this is how you set up the curriculum, this is the flow of how the class goes, this step or combination leads into the next one, so it's not just random stuff. It's a much more it seems like a much more comprehensive overview that's really geared not just for dancers but primarily for teachers to teach teachers how to teach.
100%. And I think there's something a lot more integrated and involved in a course
Mm,
that like we've been really specific in not having a course be like super intensive that like you really have to dedicate like 2 months without working for. Like we're
mhm.
creating these courses for individuals who have part-time jobs, who are teaching, who have families. So it's not like you need to commit this specific time to be able to do it. It's like, here's a 3-month window, do it whenever you have
Oh,
time
yeah,
to, kind of a self-paced course.
yeah, that's really
Because
important.
you have to know your audience, and the
Mhm.
audience are teachers that have jobs and families, and they want to learn, but these courses either cost a bunch of money, are in person, maybe not so much anymore because of COVID, um, and just are really time dependent, which just
Mm,
people don't have, or this community of people, I'll be more specific, don't have the access to. And so creating materials that not just I create, I'm definitely not the teaching expert here. Everyone else who's teaching is. And so kind of gathering all of the information from everyone who are experts in their fields to create courses and resources for the wider community.
oh yeah, so yeah, this is, I just think it's so brilliant, and I think this is why Ballet Rising and the Global Ballet Teachers can coordinate so much, because I'm
Yeah.
hoping and planning to do some teaching, and I'd love to coordinate with things like that. But yeah, I think what you're doing is just so much more comprehensive and focused on just really how to build the curriculums and build dancers and things like that, whereas we're focused on those kinds of things, but also doing a lot of media. So I'm really excited to report more on the future, on what you're doing, what your organization is doing, and come back to people and see how they're growing and developing. And yeah, this is just going to be really exciting to sort of play along and coordinate with each other's projects.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even within our music for ballet class course that's running right now, we have teachers from a whole bunch of different countries, and to hear like their conversations going on within the course is really interesting. Like all the different perspectives, different people's experiences, like, oh, I didn't know about this type of music, or oh, learning about meter is different for different people who've had different types of education. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's just been really nice to have everyone come together and learn from each other. So that's our ongoing goal.
Great. No, I think it's amazing. It's great what you're doing. And
Thanks.
so recently you had an amazing opportunity to actually go to Africa. How did
Yes.
that come about? Tell us all about that. That just seemed really exciting. I'm so sorry I couldn't come and join you. I really wanted to.
I know that would have been such an incredible experience for both of us to be there. But yeah, so I really have one of the teachers in my community. Her name is Sarah Bulios. I have her to thank for that trip. So she was actually one of our first teachers that joined our community, who was taking the online classes, and then she took the first syllabus course for beginner levels. And so we've just been in touch, and a lot of the teachers that I've have taken classes or courses always message me questions with advice and stuff. And so we'd stayed in contact. And then in December, she had called me and it's like, oh, I have something to ask you. And it's like, oh yeah, sure, of course. And so we got on a WhatsApp call, and she's like, so do you want to come to Nigeria for the entire month of February? And I was like, yes. Maybe not for the entire month because I'm dancing here at Pacific Northwest Ballet, but absolutely. So it's really all thanks to her and her organization, SPAN, Society for Performing Arts in Nigeria. Um, that organization does incredible work. But she had invited me to perform for their gala graduation performance, and then run a 5-day teacher workshop with the teachers that I had met online, and was able to like teach them in person, and then meet new teachers as well from different spots within Nigeria. And also a teacher came from Ghana for the workshop as well. So it was just,
Wow.
uh, if you can say life changing, I'm going to say life changing. It really changed
Imagine
my
a trip like that would
perspective.
be.
Yeah. Yeah, it was my first time running a live workshop. It was my first time going to Nigeria. I'd been to Africa, Morocco, but Nigeria is a little different.
Mm.
Dancing in Nigeria. Fun fact, I was the first ballet dancer to perform in Nigeria, which seems unreal.
Yeah, that's
And
amazing.
yeah, and just running this workshop and learning from the teachers like in the flesh, in the person, and like seeing all of us grow, like not just them, like I was growing as an individual, as a teacher, as a communicator, and we were just riffing off of each other the entire time. So yeah, we can definitely dig into whatever elements of that trip you want, but it was an incredible experience, and I thank Sarah for that.
Yeah, that's
for that
amazing.
ability.
So yeah, you actually do you have that on your CV that you were the first ballet dancer or the first person to do a ballet in Nigeria?
I haven't updated my resume in the last 2 months, but when I do, I definitely will. It'll be
Definitely
right
put
up
that
top.
on it. So I mean, it sounds like there were a lot of highlights to that trip, but like what was like one or two moments that you just really felt like, wow, this is like what were the highlights of your trip for you?
So I think I will have to start with the last day of the teacher workshop. So I had been with this group of people. Some people were coming in the morning, some people were coming in the evening based on their work schedules. And we were kind of touching on different elements I built the workshop to be a little bit more integrated. So I'm not just sitting there like lecturing. They're like, do you understand? Do you have any questions? So it was like, okay, this is what I would do to create a combination. Now you go with your group of 5 other teachers, create a combination, and everyone's going to give feedback. And we're going to talk about it and see what worked, what didn't work, what did, as the student perspective, did it work well? Anyway, so we had worked really closely together. You could tell that like people were a little bit apprehensive and tense at the beginning. And then by the last day, just everyone was sharing, everyone was super candid. It was awesome. So I would say my favorite moment of the trip was the last day. We had talked about how to choreograph for beginner levels, because that was one of the topics that we had talked about. Was in Nigeria specifically, there are different ways of looking at ballet. There are some teachers that call it ballet, but they're doing cartwheels in a tutu, versus like actually using technique. And maybe it's a little bit simpler, not as flashy, but it's like the building blocks of ballet. And so we had talked about those building blocks, and I was like, okay, well, now create a really fun dance for your students that would be exciting, using ballet technique and no cartwheels, please. And so I had given them the task of like, okay, here's music. I picked the Cupid variation. Use 4/8 and pick 3 ballet vocabulary and make a piece. And you can run around, use formations. And I put them in 4 groups, gave them 15 minutes. And then we had a little show for each other. And just seeing all the light bulbs go off from the last 4 days of us working together, and the technique improvement was incredible, and just seeing their creativity coming out, and just having this moment of like, wow, I shared what I know, and they took that and ran with it. And there's nothing I could do to help them run with it, but they did it. And just their willingness to work with each other, give feedback to each other, grow. And I was like, oh, I just wish we could all do this all the time. We just all be better people and communicators, and seeing them shine and feel confident with themselves was wonderful. And then I'd say another favorite moment was performing alongside Nigerian dancers, and just feeling like, you know, they were sharing their art and I was sharing my art, and we were in community on the stage. And there's nothing that the like stage can't do to bring people together. So that just felt like an incredibly special moment. And I did the sugar plum and emeralds variation, if you're familiar with those. And I was in my like glittery emeralds long romantic tutu, and I was like, oh my gosh.
I did see you doing Nutcracker, and it looked like the emeralds costume, and I was like,
yeah,
wait a minute. I know that costume.
Yeah, P&B let me borrow it, and it was just all glitz and glam. And I'd always dreamed of wearing that costume, and doing it in Nigeria alongside these incredible dancers was a true gift. So
that's cool.
those are my 2 favorites.
It's so cool that not only did you go there to teach and talk about ballet and get to know all these people, but also just to bring a little like physical material, an actual costume, from I know a lot of people in the past, people get really excited about those kinds of things. It's interesting to see the actual costumes up close and to be able to, touch them and just, yeah, it's very, they're unique. It's the costumes are as unique as the dance style. So yeah, also
Yeah.
a little extra fun there to be able to bring an actual ballet costume that's worn on stages by ballet dancers in professional companies. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and there's something also really incredible about being the individual who like is their first vision of what a piece in point shoes looks like, or
Mhm.
for some people it was their first live ballet class they've ever taken with like live feedback,
Mhm.
because they have been a lot of the teachers in Nigeria know what they know about ballet because of YouTube, which is an incredible resource, but there's something so different about a live class, which I think we
Yeah,
all learned during the pandemic of like Zoom classes are a great resource if there's nothing else, but there's
yeah.
nothing that that can replace um, the live class, the live energy, the tactile feedback, and so to be that individual, that first person
Mhm.
for these incredible teachers is truly a gift. I feel really grateful for that, and I know it's just the beginning. So
Yeah.
um
Cool.
yeah.
So and so you did the workshop, you did the performance, and then you were also working with another school, right?
Yeah, so I taught a little bit. So obviously I taught the workshop, but I taught some of the students from the SPAN organization.
Oh yeah.
So Sarah Bulios's academy.
Uh-huh.
I taught on a Saturday, and so I taught ages 2 to around 12. So definitely a range. There are 3 classes in there. But also to just teach the next generation of dancers is just so inspiring. So much potential,
Yeah.
so exciting. So yeah, I was able to teach the actual students, and then one of the teachers that I've been really close with, love it, I went to her studio and observed classes and gave my feedback on how the classes were run, and just seeing the students do their thing and seeing the teachers that I'd been working with do their thing and just being part of the experience and just being a fly on the wall for the first time and not a camera on the wall, was really different.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and just learning the stories of the students that have come to ballet, because ballet is going to be, I feel like it's going to be huge in Nigeria, and so
Yeah,
seeing this next generation coming up is like, oh
mm.
my gosh, you have so many sparkly moments ahead of you, and I hope you keep at it, because that's just what the ballet world needs there.
Yeah, the enthusiasm that people in Nigeria have. I mean, I've experienced it to a certain degree. We've yeah, done a lot of articles on teachers and people all over Nigeria, and we've done several interviews with people in Nigeria as well. The enthusiasm they have. I mean, everybody knows Africa is legendary for dance. I mean, Africa
Mm-hmm.
just yeah, they have an insatiable desire to move to rhythm and music,
Yeah.
and it just shows. But yeah, Nigerians are just really, really excited about classical ballet. And so, I mean, for you to have been there and seen it in person just must be
Oh,
something like I can already imagine. It's like, yeah, there's just a huge desire for classical ballet all over Nigeria. It's amazing to see.
yeah, and they're these pockets that are just growing now, and I feel like now that they have a little bit more confidence, having taken some of the courses, or at least being able to compare themselves to other teachers around the world,
Mhm.
I think has given them confidence of like, I actually, wait, I do know what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep doing it, and like, these are my questions, let me get them answered,
Yeah.
and so either I answer them or I pass them on to other people. But
Yeah.
it's been incredible. I mean, that's part of our mission statement, is like to empower teachers. Like, we're not here to just teach you what to do. Like, we're here to give you the tools and you go run with it in whatever way works for you. Just don't do cartwheels in a tutu. That's all I ask. um,
I think that's the best thing
um,
you can do. I mean, it's all
yeah,
it's art, it's self-expression. So I mean,
yeah,
there's a technique to ballet, so obviously we have to sort of keep it within that genre, otherwise it becomes another style of dance. But in the end, it's art and it's self-expression. So it's all about just giving people the tools and saying, all right, go. What can you do with it? Have fun, make it yours. This is not
yeah.
something that's ours and you're just doing. No, make it yours.
Yeah, and
But,
each culture and society is different as well.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like what I know here in Seattle, Washington is definitely not what it's going to be like in
Mhm.
Ghana or in Russia or in France, where we have teachers from. Like, we're all coming from different perspectives with different needs within our communities and our schools and our students.
Yeah.
And no one can tell you what to do. It's like you are the expert of
Yeah.
your students, and we can only give you tools.
The American style of ballet started the same way.
Yeah.
George Balanchine came and he had his own idea of what classical ballet was. He was very educated in classical ballet, but
Yeah.
he made a style for American audiences that was American. We
Yeah.
identified with it. Still classical ballet, still has, fits within the technique and everything, but there was just little stylistic things that suited Americans and what Americans wanted to see and represented our culture. And just going to be really exciting in the future to see all these other countries and cultures develop ballet in their own way, for themselves. A Nigerian school of ballet and the Indian school of ballet. I talk about this all the time. I just think it's going to be great. You have the French school, the Russian school, the American school, the Nigerian school, the Indian school, the Indonesian school,
Yeah.
the Antarctic school. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. No, definitely. And just every culture and society has something so unique to offer. And so giving the ability to let that shine beyond just the technique, I think is what our ballet world needs to grow, and to grow those individuals in those different countries, and then having them show up on stages around the world is how we actually create diversity.
Oh, yeah.
And not just having Nigerians that are fortunate enough to like go train in France or the US. Like, it needs to grow within the communities. You can't just ship other people somewhere else and then hopefully they come back.
Yeah.
It's growing it within. So
Absolutely.
I know I'm not going to, change people's lives in a dramatic way, but I just want to be part of their journey to like help them level up and grow in
Yeah.
whatever ways that they want.
Every little bit helps. It's
Yeah.
not, I don't plan on changing the world myself either, but I'm definitely, I do my little part.
Yeah.
Every wall has a little brick in it, so I'm putting my little brick in it.
Great metaphor.
Yeah. Suits
Yeah.
the moment. Yeah, so I mean, it's all about doing your little part, and we'll see where things go from there. But yeah, it's amazing. So how about future plans? Any going back to Nigeria anytime soon, or what are you thinking now?
I hope so. There was talks of that being in the works, and then also possibly a trip to Ghana, which would be
Great.
incredible. So yeah, I'm really open to anything and everything, but I think in the current moment, what I can control is just creating more coursework and resources for the teachers to access online. We actually today, which is a funny coincidence, offered our first online workshop for an individual teacher, actually in New York, teaching an individual teacher and students in Indonesia.
Right.
And so having that more like an online course is you're going through it and you're having conversations with teachers, but it's something different than like having a class taught to you and your students. That's a little bit more specific and geared towards what the level of your students. So maybe digging into offering more of those for different teachers around the world. But really mostly creating coursework. So as I mentioned, we have a pre-ballet coming up, beginner, intermediate ballet syllabus and curriculum. We have like a flexibility and strengthening course in the works as well. So just kind of growing resources that teachers can access at any time is where I'm getting the sense the teachers are at this moment. And then just growing from there. I mean, seeing where we were May 2020 to where we are now in May 2022, 2 years later, is pretty incredible. The world has changed a lot also, but I think that's the beauty of Global Ballet Teachers is it's like not just one set way. Like we're kind of growing and developing as the teachers and the community needs. So I can tell you what the like year plan is, which is what I just shared with you. But in 5 years, I don't know, where's the world going to be?
Yeah, well, that's a hard one to say.
But it's been incredible working with teachers from all over the world to create these courses as well. And I just hope to to do that, because this is not just me sharing my teaching skills. I'll do that as much as I can that's useful, but it's really about having other teachers sharing their expertise and having that shine.
I think that's what another thing that really makes what you're doing so powerful is it's not all coming directly through you. It's not like you're organizing everything and planning everything and making a curriculum. It's not centralized around you. No. You're sort of pulling in a lot of different experts and people, you know, okay, here's somebody with it who has a desire to learn. Here's somebody who has the information that they need. And so it's this sort of more decentralized community. It's a community-based project rather than just, you know, going straight through you. And I think that makes it 100 times more powerful and useful. And it's all about building a community rather than just, you know, doing something for yourself. I think that's absolutely brilliant. I think you're going to get 100 steps ahead of where you are doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, as we've talked about, there's so much power in community. And what is the saying, like, build a village, you can't build a village by yourself or something. So definitely feel that. And there's also an element of just wanting to be that platform that teachers can come to. Like, I just, at the end of every email, I'm like, if you have any interest in like sharing a resource or creating a course, just let me know. And the number of people that have responded is just, it just shows that teachers not only give so much to their students, but they want to share what they know with everyone. Like, and that's also within the ballet world. Like, we just all want to share what we know with others. That's why so many dancers go into teaching, because it's like, I have all of this really incredible information and I could just let it like go live in a suitcase, or I could share it with everyone. And so I think being that platform for teachers, and knowing that it's free for other teachers, knowing that it's accessible to everyone around the world, is also really exciting for the teachers who are creating resources and courses, because they know it's not just going for their community in Kansas or something. It's going to everyone that's part of this community. Yeah, that's amazing. And so now, I mean, you're obviously going to be exploring sort of the latest ideas and research behind, like, you know, sports medicine and things like that, because obviously you're going to be doing stretching classes and physical training and stuff like that. You know, with that in mind, do you think that, how do you feel about like someday these emerging communities in the ballet world sort of someday sort of leapfrogging other communities that have been around for a long time? So like, you know, some of the established ballet communities, we have these long traditions, and, you know, I remember it very well. You know, teachers would be like, oh, do it this way because that's the way it's always been done. You know, and even now you get some really interesting ideas about weight loss and physical strengthening and stretching that, you know, are kind of very old school. That's not really the best way to do it, not the most healthy way to do things. And so by teaching these communities sort of and building them up from the ground up, using the latest ideologies and the latest in sports medicine and things like that, you know, I think there's a possibility that because they don't have those preconceived ideas and those old ways of doing things, saying, oh, this is the way it's always been done, you know, that's how there might be a way in the future that they might even leapfrog established communities. Yeah, I can't wait to see a future where that happens. also with diversity, you know, so a lot of the people that have contacted me over the years through Ballet Rising, these sort of community leaders are all women. And so here's a golden opportunity that if ballet is just now starting in their communities, let's start it right and start it with the idea of inclusion. It doesn't have to be a male director, male choreographers all the time. We can pull those preconceived ideas that are still somewhat entrenched in the West in established communities. We can start them off already. Like, if women are the ones leading the charge, then let them direct. Let's you know, let's create a real true meritocracy, I guess. Yeah, I mean, at least from my experience in my 10 days in Nigeria, there was actually a pretty split divide between teachers that were male and female that came to the course. But I would say the leaders were mostly women within that, the teachers that had the most experience, that had kind of dug in and took the time to really learn. Not to say that there weren't males in that group as well, but the majority were women, and they're the ones that are leading the ballet schools now,
Taking the
or are the
initiative.
teachers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a male trait, that to take
No.
initiative and to lead. It comes within everybody, and so yeah, it seems like a golden opportunity to sort of really help these communities flourish, but do it in a way that's sort of puts old ideologies to sleep and start fresh.
Yeah, 100%. There definitely were questions about like body image for ballet, because they're like, oh my gosh, you're so tall and you're so lean. And I was like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that you can't have dancers that look different than me, that have different physical capabilities. Like, this is just how I am as a person, but that doesn't mean you as an individual who looks different than me can't dance equally as well, if not better. So just kind of slashing, as you say, those old ideologies of like, yes, this is how it's been. I appreciate that that that's what it's like, but that doesn't mean that's what we need to do moving forward. And so just being really careful. Well, like, for example, for this flexibility and strengthening course that we're talking about in the beginning works, is like, we don't even want to call it stretching. We want to call it flexibility, because stretching has the connotation of like, and flexibility is just like, yeah, like gaining mobility more. And that's just so much healthier for students than like, let's sit in a split for 3 hours. And so really thinking about the language that's used to communicate. Also, for example, some of the corrections that we talked about in the workshop when I was in Nigeria, I was talking about language and like words that you would use to correct, and being really careful about like taking away the negatives and keeping with the positives. So so let me think of an example. Like, someone's doing a tendu with a bent leg. The teacher shouldn't say, don't do that. Say like, oh, think about lengthening your leg. So it changes it from a negative perspective to a positive. And I felt like a lot of my training was like, no, 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 no. And that's like a very weird mindset to be in, rather than like, oh, let me think about how to do it, rather than how not to do it and do it differently. And so just changing, as you say, that ideology, that the way of communication, it's not different material, it's just different ways of approaching it. And so I'm trying to be really conscious of like, how would I want to be taught now? If I could have gone back to my training, how would I have wanted to do it? As I'm observing myself being in classes every day, how do I like to be communicated towards? What works for me? What doesn't? So it's been really interesting, still as a professional dancer, to be thinking about all of those elements, since I'm still really, really in the world, still as a student. Even though I'm a professional, I'm still kind of on that student perspective. Yeah, always learning. So yeah, that's a great question and thought that you had there, Casey.
Yeah, nice. Well, yeah, here's this moment that I love to ask everybody. If there's anything you could say or want to say to to the audience that's listening, what would you love to just tell people about yourself, or just anything?
Yeah. Well, if you are a ballet teacher anywhere in the community, you have something to offer, you have something you want to learn, please join Global Ballet Teachers and join the conversations, be part of, share what you know, learn what you don't know. And yeah, it's less of like a marketing ploy of like, come join our community, but like really the more voices and thoughts and ideas that we have, the more that other people can learn. And so just continuing to be open to learn, creating new things. Yeah, I'm excited for what's coming, but yeah.
Awesome. That's perfect. And so where's the best place for people to find you?
Yeah, so ballet teachers with an S, teachers plural, .org is our website, but we're also on Instagram and Facebook. but join our email list, subscribe. We'll put a link somewhere. And yeah, just join our emails, and then you'll get access to all of our courses when they come out, or live events. We do talks about, so Pacific Northwest Ballet transition to, we have live performances now, but we still have digital performances. So we offer conversations after every rep. So we share that link out and then add a little bit of resources that's led by Leora Mitt. And yeah, so you'll get that once a month and learn about our courses, and any resources that I find, I share out that way. So website, Instagram, or Facebook are the way to get involved.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Yeah, and I'll put all the links down below so people will be able to find all that stuff. Just click on it and go straight to it. Well, great. I think that was a fantastic introductory interview. I always like to do these interviews just to sort of introduce people, but I would definitely love to have you back on and talk further about more in-depth stuff. And we'll definitely hope to meet up and work together at some point in the future, in person, maybe in Africa, maybe in
Amazing.
Who knows?
Anywhere in the world.
Mars, moon, ballet is going everywhere.
It is. Thank you so much for having me. It is rising.
Absolutely. It was a real pleasure. Looking forward to talking to you again.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Take care.